Hello Year 11 and welcome back to Miss G Drama. Today we're going to continue with our revision sessions for section B of the written paper, and of course we are looking at noughts and crosses. So for this session today we're going to be looking at question 9.2, and this session will focus on the specification criteria for question 9.2, theatrical skills vocabulary, how to use precise details, and then structuring a response. So what will question 9.2 ask you to do? The question will ask you to describe how you would perform a particular line in the extract and explain the effects. It's the second question of section B and it's worth 8 marks. So what I've done is I've put a screenshot there of the paper from last year, and the question follows this structure. You are performing the role of Sephi. Describe how you would use your vocal and physical skills to perform the line below and explain the effects you want to create. And the line was, how come I never come to your house anymore? Aren't I welcome? And that's worth 8 marks. So if we look at the specification criteria, if we break that excellent band down, we are looking for excellent knowledge of how drama is created and performed, vocal and physical skills with precise details, which I'll come onto more in a moment, and the intended effects are appropriate. So the points you're making about how the character would behave and how you'll use your skills to show it need to make sense for the character and their context in the play. So with precise details, they should be very detailed, very specific, include detailed examples, and use sophisticated vocabulary and theatrical terminology. Now, looking at the exam papers we got back from the candidates from last year and their written responses, the most successful candidates were those who were able to use these precise details, and they were very exact. And I think that's why they were so successful, because reading through their papers, I could almost imagine the students acting in the space as that character. So you're creating a picture for the examiner about how you would perform. So what I've got here are some showcase sentences. So on the left-hand side, you see examples that are quite simplistic, but then on the right are my showcase sentences, which are precise details along with an explanation of the effects. So let's look at a couple of examples of how you can turn more of a simplistic detail to a precise detail. So we've got the one on the left that says, I would use an angry tone to show how Ryan feels. Well, there is the word tone in there and we understand he's angry, but it's not precise enough and it's not using kind of enough theatrical skills to set the scene for the examiner. And then also it says to show how Ryan feels. Well, that's quite a throwaway sentence because we're not able to actually know how he feels. It's not explained by the candidate. But if we look to the right-hand side, the precise detail could look something like this. I would grit my teeth before delivering the line and almost spit out my words to show the deep-rooted anger Ryan feels. So that has a kind of very precise description of how you would perform. And so that sets the scene for the examiner and they know exactly how that would look in a performance space. If we go to the bottom one, this one's slightly less simplistic. I will look right at Sephi and stare at her to show how Jude can't believe that Sephi would turn up at Lynette's wake. So that one has the word stare in there, which is, you know, a good detail. And it does say that Jude can't believe, and it kind of explains something about his character. But to make it more sophisticated and precise, if we look at the one on the right, it says, to show Jude's sheer rage, I would use direct eye contact, glaring downstage towards Sephi. I would enhance this by pursing my lips and flaring my nostrils to show how Jude's temper reaching boiling point. So we can see there that not only is it turning that stare into direct eye contact and it's glaring, it's showing the direction of the stage, that he's glaring downstage towards her. It gives more details about what he would do, and then it also explains the effects on either side of that precise detail, which is really helpful as well. So if we're looking at the structure, we're going to use the ideal structure here. So we have an idea for your character and line, describing the skills you would use with precise details, the evidence of the specific words or phrases within the line you've been given, analysing what it shows and the effects, and then always making sure you're going back to that question, have you linked it to the focus of the question? So here I have a model that was written by an actual student who took GCSE drama last year, and this student was able to get 8 out of 8 for this response. So it was for the same question that we looked at the screenshot for at the beginning of this video, and it's Seffi in Act 1, Scene 1 on the beach with Callum. So we're looking at the line, how come I never go to your house anymore? Aren't I welcome? Now what you'll already notice is the order of the structure is really muddled, and that's because you don't have to use the points of the structure in the same order every time. Some students like to mix it up. It's because you're going to be coming back to the focus of the question throughout, and your precise details will be broken up as you go through. So if you look at the highlighting, there's actually a kind of mix of that structure, and I encourage students to really have freedom in their writing to make sure that they are kind of giving the most sophisticated response. So let's have a look through it. I'm going to read the response, and then a good way to think about how they've used the different details is by pausing the video and going back and looking at that structure. So we've got a model, and let's have a read through it. If I were playing the role of Seffi, before saying the lines, how come I never go to your house anymore, aren't I welcome? I would use my gaze by observing my surroundings, but regularly and subconsciously look in Callum's direction to show how I am eager to say something to him, but I am almost embarrassed to do so. So if we pause there, the student is thinking about how they would walk into the line almost, so how they would approach the line before even saying it, which is quite a sophisticated way to look at it, because they're already thinking about how am I going to be in that space? What am I looking like? Which vocal and physical skills am I thinking of using? Let's carry on. So we get on to a precise detail here. I would then slowly turn my back to look to him and look up at the ceiling, wincing as I battle with my own conscience of whether I should speak to him or not, especially because I care so deeply for him and I wouldn't want to ruin our progressing relationship. Okay. I would then sigh and deliver the line at a rush pace, saying, how come I never come to your house anymore? To reflect how Seffi is struggling to express her emotions and is frustrated that she is drifting away from Callum, who she has feelings for. So again, every precise detail is followed up by a specific moment within that line, and then explaining the effects. I would then slowly turn my head in his direction, followed by gradually turning my entire body and begin to fidget with my hands whilst looking down when saying the lines, aren't I welcome? I would use a shift in the tone by speaking in a hushed voice to show that Seffi is too distracted by how much it hurts and bothers her that Callum and her are always going to have some distance between them. I would then suddenly look up so that my eyes would meet with his and shift closer towards him to show that I genuinely want to know how he is feeling with my eyebrows slightly furrowed. So you can see from this response that the student has done everything that specification criteria said. It has described the theatrical skills used, the vocal and physical skills for the line, and it is appropriate and the effects are appropriate for Seffi and the context of the scene and the play. So you can look back at that structure on the page before to see how the colour coding works, but this is what we are aiming for this style of question. So now you can have a go, and what I've done is I've put 2 practice questions there, one for Meggie and one for Kamal, and I've given you the line that they say and how you can think about how you would approach that now that we've gone through that together. I would give yourself 10 minutes for this question. It's usually around a minute a mark, but we've rounded that up to 10. So 10 minutes to create maybe 2 detailed paragraphs usually. So a top tip to end this video is to practice using sentences using precise details and create a showcase sentence bank linked to specific characters. So mapping out each character, a key character in the play, and a number of precise details from a few scenes to ensure that you are practicing using those precise details. I hope that you found this video very useful, and I'll be uploading another one for question 9.3 that will hopefully help you with that question.